Welcome to Evangelical-ish, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the American Evangelical Church, deconstruction, faith, and God's love through it all. Join us for these episodes live on our Evangelical-ish YouTube page on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 o'clock Pacific. Let's journey together.
Well, welcome into episode 1 of the Evangelical live stream / podcast. I am Jeremy. I'm that pastor from Oklahoma, and I'm so excited to be joined by the Evangelical-ish crew. It's April A. Joy and Paul, that TikTok pastor. We're so excited to be hanging out with you. Episode 1, all across the United States. We are literally in 3 different time zones, but the beauty of modern technology. And so, guys, it has been a minute getting to this point. What an awesome time, and glad we could be doing this.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. Oh, Paul, we don't know how to. I was saying, I didn't know that this would actually happen between the ice storm that you had, Jeremy, and then my family got hit with COVID, and Paul's shadow banned. So the universe is like not wanting this to happen.
TikTok doesn't like me no more. Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited to be with you two guys. And I'm not saying this just because you're on the screen, but you're 2 of my favorite creators on TikTok. And so I've watched you guys for, I start to say a long time. It's only been since like November for me, but that seems like a long time now in COVID years. And it's just really exciting that we got to connect and get to walk this journey together a little bit.
Yeah, you say November. I have been on TikTok since like November 3rd. So I'm a newbie to TikTok. I hope I'm doing okay.
You're doing well.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's pretty impressive. I joined back like right when COVID hit during the pandemic, just because I was bored at home with my children. It was like survival mode. And then it slowly turned into what it has.
Yeah.
Wow, we have people commenting already on YouTube. So Rachel, I see popped up there.
Yeah, she says she loves our faces. Listen, you need better faces, Rachel. So tonight we kind of wanted to get into, what is evangelical-ish and what does that mean? How did we all come to this point? Talking about the reconstruction or deconstruction of our faith journeys and just kind of coming into that new space and that new area. And because I think that's been the biggest thing, the thing that has kind of brought us together is we all kind of share a similar platform on TikTok, and we kind of kept getting tagged in each other's videos and all of those crazy things. And so that's kind of what brought us together. And we really have to thank the TikTok community for that. But, I kind of want to, we kind of want to dive into that a little bit tonight about kind of how we got here. But it's been a kind of a fascinating journey, hasn't it, y'all?
Yes, there's been moments especially in the last 4 years, but this year especially, where I'm just look at the world and like, what the crap is actually happening, especially in the Christian world. They've like all gone off the deep end. And if I say something, the way that they talk to me sometimes makes me feel like I'm the crazy one, like, oh, I'm the sheep somehow. And I don't know why that's a bad thing because the Lord is our shepherd. But yeah, it has been a journey.
My wife and I call it the Green Acres syndrome. I'm older than you guys, so I don't know if you remember the show Green Acres, but like Eddie Albert, the actor, was like the only normal person in the show. So because he was normal, he's abnormal. And that's what it's felt like in the evangelical church. I think for those of us who weren't sort of these major Trump followers in this season, and maybe even right wing before that. And so it's just been amazing for me to find people like you guys and say, I'm not alone in this thing. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people are finding that with all of our content.
It's a pretty wild commonality where all of us come from a pretty conservative background. And we've talked about that offline, obviously through the process, where each one of us kind of come from a conservative background and started to see that that the right and conservatism was losing context and losing track of what we thought that Jesus was about, and that's definitely some commonality. I want to talk about man. There's folks chiming in from all over the country right now, and if you're just joining us, please let us know where you're from tonight as well. We want to connect with you, and so I see West Virginia is in, Tiger, Georgia. Thank you so much for the 2020 election. Yeah. We're grateful for you.
We all love Georgia.
That's right. Central Texas, originally from northeastern Oklahoma. Grateful for that. Rachel, of course, from Cincinnati. That is that one girl, Rachel, on TikTok.
I love her.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome.
So, and then Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and a couple others. But please do comment. We are watching comments tonight, so let us know.
And maybe we should tell where we're from, too, just in case anybody doesn't know.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm from Fresno, California, which is right in the middle of the state. And everybody thinks, wow, California, liberal, radical. Not where I live. Central California is the buckle of the Bible Belt of the West Coast. And so I live in a very conservative ag-based town. In fact, Devin Nunes is my congressman, if you can believe that, if you know who Devin Nunes is.
Amazing.
Yes, ooh is right.
Amazing.
And Kevin McCarthy is the congressman of Bakersfield, which is right down the road. So that tells you a little bit about where I live.
Well, I live in Cleveland, Tennessee, so I'm the Eastern time zone, and Tennessee is also obviously very red, and Cleveland, I think, might be the reddest city in the reddest state. We went 77% for Trump. So it's fun here.
We are also very red here in Oklahoma. So I'm in the Northwest Oklahoma City area. Used to be in the Piedmont, Yukon area. I still serve at a church in Yukon, but actually moved back recently into Oklahoma City proper, which is really exciting. And so anyway, yeah, from the 405, ripping the 405 here in Oklahoma, but we are also very, very red here in Oklahoma. Now, kind of talking about like where we came from. I think, or where we're from now, and kind of where we came from, and the commonalities that brought us together. Let's kind of take that a step further, because I think each one of us have had this very similar, but yet also very individualistic journey in the process of getting to where we are now. And obviously a lot of all three of us have had growth, and we see that with a lot of the folks that we're engaging with on TikTok and in other platforms, the growth that just kind of coming into this new age or new understanding and enlightenment of our faith. And so I kind of want to open that up a little bit, and give all of us kind of a chance to dialogue about that just a little bit.
Sure.
You want to dive in, April?
Yeah. A little bit of my background. If, those of you might follow me on TikTok, so you might know a little bit, but I obviously was raised very conservative, evangelical. My dad was a pastor evangelist. My grandfather was a pastor. So I was a preacher's kid, but I also anyway, so very conservative, and my Christian faith was very intertwined with my political ideologies, which was republicanism. And I remember being in high school on MySpace, because that was the thing at the time, and I made a group that says, I'm a Christian, therefore I'm a Republican. So wow. I was in deep. I know, I really believe, a lot of this, people say I'm not a Christian now because I voted for Joe Biden, and maybe April 15 years ago would have said something similar. So it's been a really slow process over the years of, being taught all Democrats are bad, they're run by Satan, and they're demonic, and then meeting people that were Democrats or people that were different, and them being super nice, and, seeing the love of Jesus in them, or seeing empathy in them, and realizing these people don't seem evil to me. And so just, over time, meeting different people of different belief systems and different backgrounds, just kind of slowly started pulling at this tightly knit black and white theology. And over time, it just unraveled more and more.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Super fascinating. Paul, kind of share your story on that as well.
Yeah, I grew up in a very conservative Assemblies of God upbringing. My dad was a pastor most of my life, and we really believed that Ronald Reagan and God were neck and neck as the greatest beings ever in the history of the universe, with Reagan pulling slightly ahead, to be honest with you. And so that was kind of through my college years. But I really, for me, it started with just like, I wish I could love people. There was just something in me that said, I want to love people. But I knew I couldn't. I knew God didn't want me to do that. God wanted me to tell people they were bad. Um, so later in my adult years, a whole bunch of God that weren't premillennial rapturist. I thought every Christian believed in the rapture and premillennial theology, and finding out there were Christians that didn't believe that was the first string in the sweater that I started to pull. And I'm like, what else do we believe that others don't believe? But ultimately, I think it came down to my wife and I planting in our city of Fresno, seeing all its problems, wanting to be a part of the solution, and realizing that the things we needed to do to fix our city, the conservative Christian community, which is a very powerful voting bloc in our city, were opposed to those things because they weren't Republican, and they would tell us things like, we just need to, get abortion. We need to ban abortion. We need to beat the Democrats. And and we were just like, that can't be God. That can't be what God is about. God has to want to see economic equality come in our city and racial equality come into our city and these things. And so it really was from that journey that we just started saying, hey, we want to see solutions for the shalom of our city more than we want to see sort of these right-wing things happen. And that was just a big part of the change.
Yeah.
How about you, Jeremy?
Well, I think mine was an interesting kind of process, because I kind of grew up in two worlds, to be perfectly honest. My parents, who grew up in Northeast Arkansas, my mom, who talks about being in elementary school and having separate water fountains from the black students in her newly segregated classes, right? And so there were still things. My parents have come a long way. I will give them that, and that whole story is probably another time and place. But it was definitely like I have watched them continually grow through some of their mindsets on that. And so, obviously, you grow up in a home like that where it's very conservative, and it's all about less government, and all of these these usual like hot button punchlines you hear from conservatism. But that was juxtaposed against the fact that I was growing up in a very diverse school district. And even though my parents moved outside of Oklahoma City in my high school career, I went ahead and transferred back in to a more inner city high school. And so a lot of my friends that I played sports with and did things with were people of color. And so I was seeing these two very conflicting narratives of how life works and how things look. And so it challenged me. And I actually had some amazing teachers through my high school career that helped kind of shape and mold my worldview in that process. I was lucky in my high school career to have 4 amazing English teachers. And as a matter of fact, I did the spoken word on Inauguration Day that kind of went pretty big on TikTok. And I actually got the chance to message that to all 4 of them and tell them thank you for not only teaching me how to express myself, but also helping give me that worldview. And
that's awesome.
And so it was a really interesting, warring worlds a little bit. And so But as I grew up, and I'll never forget kind of that defining moment for me when I realized that Jesus was not a Republican. I was riding in the car with a friend of mine, who I still have to this day, who was black, and we got pulled over. And the way I got treated and the way he got treated was night and day, just in that moment. And I was like, we are missing the mark. As white evangelicals, we are missing the mark. And so it's been a really interesting process, obviously. But it is kind of amazing to see how twisted, and I think this is what a lot of it, all three of us have experienced, how twisted the evangelical experience has become from white America, and how backwards they have made it, and how white they have made their gospel and made Jesus, and
literally made Jesus white.
Literally. And that's been the biggest challenge. And I think it has been, the gasoline has been poured heavily onto that fire within the last 4 or 5 years. And so now we are in a place where white evangelicalism / white supremacy, because I think too often those things are way hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Those two worlds have been given merit, and they have been given a voice, and I think that's a lot of, why we are here, why we are doing this.
Yeah, and I think it's actually the blessing of the Trump era for the church. I think this has been coming for a long time, and I've been uncomfortable with this right-wing church for a long time, but I think what Trump did for us all is it forced us to really reckon with it. And we had to decide, are we all in on it or are we not? And so I've always cringed at the idea of the church being racist or white supremacist or any of those things, or now, Christian nationalist that a lot of people are talking about. And I've always kind of fought back with like, no, that's not who we are. But I think this season has revealed that this has been an underpinning of white evangelicalism for a long time, and now it's really been revealed. And I know that's hard for people to hear, but I just think we need to reckon with it. And I think God is tugging at us to say, would you look in the mirror and say, maybe we've not been getting it right for quite a while now?
Yeah, I think for me too, part of, I had seen problems in the church. Pretty much my whole life growing up a PK, you see hypocrisy on display from all sides all the time. But you're almost taught this guilt. You don't talk about the church. You don't talk about God's anointed. It's almost like putting it on a pedestal because you don't want to say anything negative that would make God look bad. You don't want to cause division. You don't want to lead people astray. So there's always this stifling of anything that could make the church look bad. So when you're fostering an environment like that, then these underbelly racism and white supremacy and oppressiveness and just crap, just disgusting, vile stuff just lingers and festers until it bubbles up and you get someone like Trump in that validates all of those feelings and suddenly it explodes. But some people are too far in it that instead of waking up and seeing it, you keep going with it.
Well, and that's really fascinating, because one thing that I will say, at least from my perspective, is God doesn't need us to make him look good. Either way, God is God. He doesn't need me to make him look any kind of way. And we have convinced ourselves that our actions towards the saints, quote unquote, or the whatever, is going to make God look a certain way. No, that's not it. And here's the thing: we need to be willing. We need to be willing, and this is where the rubber kind of met the road for me. Is I finally got to a point where I was like, am I just going to continue to sit here and watch this happen? Or am I going to start calling it out by name? because we can listen, and I've talked about this in videos on TikTok. Silence is complicity, period. End of discussion. So if you sit there and hold your tongue, you are now allowing this to happen. And it doesn't matter what you think in your head or what you say behind closed doors to your spouse or your kids or anybody else. If I don't speak up in public, I am allowing it to happen. And, I think sadly for me, I have sat by for too long. And I think, Paul, you and I had kind of dialogued a little bit about that. You had talked about while you were in the pastorship, that there were times that you wish, maybe you had been a little bit more direct. I mean, is that probably an accurate reading?
Yeah. I think no question now looking back, I wish I had done some things differently as a senior pastor of a church, but in some ways I feel like if I had, it would have just blown people up. They weren't ready for it. It'd been like throwing a grenade in the sanctuary and just letting people limp out. And so some of it was probably done with the heart, but I think some of it I was chicken. And the moment that really hit me, just exactly what you're saying right now, was on New Year's Day, 2017, my wife gave me a copy of Letter from Birmingham Jail by Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I read it, and it has that famous line in there of, "I'm most disappointed in the white moderates." He basically said, I knew the Ku Klux Klanners would do what they would do. I knew these other people, but I thought the white moderates would step up for us. And instead they're saying, wait until the right time. And it just hit me on that day. And this was the beginning of the end, I think, of my tenure as a senior pastor. I knew I couldn't be quiet anymore, and I had to speak up. And it's shocking to me, and I get it, again, that grenade theory, but it's shocking to me that more white evangelical pastors after January 6th aren't stepping up and saying, guys, this is not okay. Following QAnon is not okay. Having us represent white supremacy is not okay. Where are you, white pastors? Step up, grow a pair, and start talking a little bit now.
Well, but part of the problem with that is not only they not willing to step up, but it's because they don't want to. They don't want to, because
they're in it.
They're buying the snake oil, and that's part of the issue. I mean, I look at guys like, I take Greg Locke behind the woodshed as many times as I possibly can on my TikTok channel because he needs it. And
yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
But what's scary with these false teachers, these heretics, whatever you want to call them, or just misguided or lost, whatever. What's scary is that people are listening to them and being empowered by them. And they have all been empowered by the Trump administration and presidency. I mean, I think about Marjorie Taylor Greene just a few days ago after Congress voted to remove her from her committees. She got up and started talking about, in the press conference of that, started talking about how that this is still Trump's party and we are still loyal to him and he's our leader. I mean, if that is not cult behavior, or, I think I called it, their functional savior. I saw a video of her rubbing his crotch the other day. She had a cardboard cutout rubbing Trump's crotch. What the hell is that? A Christian, I don't even know what to say, but my God, what has happened to us? Well, and that's what's happened, is the wedge has been driven so deep into America that it has forced people to almost choose this side of, I'm either going to be, because I get called, listen, here's the deal. Truth be told, I'm moderate right. I mean, I just am. But I get called a flaming liberal more times in a day on TikTok than anything else, because people have just decided you are either way over here or way over there. Yep. And that is the biggest problem that we're facing right now.
Yeah. No, Yeah. When I first said that, this was in 2016, I just try to encourage people to vote third party because at the time I didn't think Trump had a chance. Nobody did. And, I didn't like Hillary. I was still pretty Republican even 4 years ago. So I voted for John Kasich in the primary, who was moderate right.
I think we all did, didn't we?
Yeah, Kasich's awesome.
Yeah.
I did. I still love Kasich.
I do too.
But anyway, just me suggesting that we not vote for the Republican Party was like, people were so pissed. Like, how dare you? You're voting, like, not voting for Trump meant I was killing babies, even though I was voting third party. And like, that's just a stupid argument to begin with. But yeah, I think what really opened my eyes to just how demented everyone has become, it seems, is just when I started to speak out against not even necessarily Trump, because everyone that has eyes sees that he's a narcissistic pig. Like, you don't need to call him out. I mean, you should, but he's obviously wrong. But I was just calling out the nonstop Christian support and defense of him in the name of Jesus and calling him God's chosen and God's choice for America. I got so much hate, private messages. I had people from the church that I grew up in private messaging me or public comments saying that my father, who has passed away, would be disappointed in me because I didn't vote for Trump. Ugh. And just like the meanest, most insensitive things because I didn't vote for Trump. Like, yeah. Trump, he's like as opposite of Jesus as you can possibly get. And they've tried to create him in God's image. Like, he's God's perfect poster boy. I'm like, Trump, do you read his tweets?
He has become a functional savior. Also, Rachel says this Ohio girl does not say Kasich is awesome.
We'll have to hear
Rachel,
that story.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to hear that story because the three of us were definitely fooled.
We're still learning, Rachel.
Yeah, we're still learning.
But some of this stuff comes out of, we've had really bad theology for a long time too. Mm-hmm. And, one of my moments like yours in the car, Jeremy, was I had a business partner back in 2001 who was a two-time Democratic mayor of Oakland and a longtime Democratic legislator in our state. And so I asked him, we were at lunch one day and I said, how can you be, and he was a wonderful Christian man, one of the best men I know. And I asked him, and I was serious. I said, how can you be a Democrat and a Christian? As a Christian, how can you be a Democrat? And he laughed because he had certainly heard that before. And he said, I've read the Bible end to end many times. And it talks way more about taking care of the poor than it does about abortion. And I remember it hitting me. Like, I was so sure that America would be great if we banned abortion, and if we didn't soon, we were going to bear the brunt of God's anger over abortion. And so that theology of like abortion. In fact, I did a TikTok series, abortion. That constant drumbeat mixed with then the Republicans taking that issue and using it as a manipulative tool for moving voters around, I think has really groomed the church for this moment for a long time.
So there's one of our folks tuned in on YouTube right now, Ahmad Saddam says, I think the American church has placed Jesus in a box. And I think that's to your point, Paul, of that we have created this gospel that is convenient for political leanings here in the United States, namely the conservative political leanings here lately. And probably going back, like if I had, you talking about, hindsight of when you were a pastor, wishing you had kind of had some hindsight or whatever. I think when I think about having hindsight, I wish I had that hindsight during the Obama presidency to call out some of this cultish behavior that was happening within the conservative base then, which allowed the Trump thing to even enter the door because it was like this, well, we hate Obama, so let's swing so far back to the other way that, white supremacy or whatever, and it's just scary. Somebody says, I voted Johnson Weld in 2016. Same, friend. Same.
Well, see, I got you guys because I voted for Obama twice.
You beat us.
Did you voted for Obama twice?
I did, yeah. And the first time wasn't because I was a huge fan of his, although I remember him speaking at the 2004 Democratic Convention and saying, wow, that guy's amazing. But I just really, as how these things work in our tradition, we would say just felt the Holy Spirit just urging me to and so it really was just a spiritual vote. And then when I saw African American men crying their eyes out when Obama got elected, I was very proud of that vote. And then my wife, who was mayor of our city, she won that election as well that year, got to meet President Obama on several occasions and came away saying, hey, we disagree on policy on some really significant things, but he is a good man. And she had great respect for him and for his administration. That again was part of the changeover for us.
Can we talk about how?
Of course, when I told somebody very close to me, he's a really good man. Of course, they're like, yes, he's a really good man that kills millions of babies. So that again, we just couldn't see through anything other than abortion filter.
They're one issue. They're one issue voters. They're one issue thinkers, and
they're not original. Give me an original insult, and maybe I'll be offended.
Well, or even just explain the one you're giving me. Like if you can, if you can say anything other than you're a baby killer. And actually put educated lines behind that.
I literally had a debate with someone, and I explained all the reasons why actually not banning abortion is better, even if you're pro-life, even if you don't like abortion, why it's better. And I explained it. Yes, I explained it to this person, and they replied, even if it lowers abortions, I'm still going to vote for the candidate that says they're pro-life.
So listen, white people, listen.
It's just political power.
Well, it's political
or stupidity.
Power. C, all of the above. But here's the
listen. Let me jump in on that and just say I do think some people really believe it's about saving babies because they've just been told that for so long. So I think there are some people who are doing it out of some feeling of goodness, but they've been blinded to the truth of, like you said, that God probably has a better way to save unwanted pregnancies and just miss the damage that this political battle's doing to the church.
Can I
say that? I'm sorry.
No, I think that's 1,000% right. And here's the thing. I've been explicit on my platform saying this. I'm not a fan of elective abortions. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean we are not talking about rape. We are not talking about incest. I think those things are a different discussion. I'm not a fan of elective abortions, but here's the reason that outlawing them is a terrible idea. You really want to send those back into closets with coat hangers? You think that that's a good idea? Because it's not going to stop it. It's only going to make it dangerous. And then that's just passing the buck. That's the church saying, I don't want to take responsibility for better education. I don't want to take responsibility for fostering and adopting. I don't want to take responsibility for loving single or young mothers in my church. I don't want to take responsibility. I just want to legislate it so I don't have to think about it. That's messed up. And even if you're pro-life, I'm sorry, this is just I'm going to preach on this, but even if you're pro-life, stop trying to pass the buck on legislation and actually do something for mothers in your churches. Start doing things for families in your churches, coming alongside people in your churches. Go into those young women, and instead of holding signs out front of an abortion clinic, you're a murderer, all this other nonsense, why don't you come alongside those moms and go, you know what? If you choose to have this baby, we will adopt this child because you're financially unable to, or you're scared, or you think that you're not mentally able to, all of those things, we understand that. We will come alongside you. We will do an open adoption. We'll do whatever we need to do to support you. But you know what, churches, listen, the evangelical church right now does not want to take responsibility. They want to pass the buck. And what's the easy thing to do? Legislate it. That's fine. Yeah. Just make abortion illegal. Yeah, just shove that back into a closet with a coat hanger. Are you kidding me right now? That's not pro-life. That is going to kill more people. That's going to kill mamas. That's going to kill babies. That's not pro-life. If you are comprehensively pro-life, Black Lives Matter, and stop talking about making abortion illegal. I'm sorry, but that's just...
Preach.
I can't
well,
and then, people.
No,
And then when you learn that Roe v. Wade passed in 1973, banning abortion did not become an issue in the church, in the Protestant church, until 1979. That there were, in fact, before that, even the Southern Baptist Convention was saying this is a Catholic issue, not a Protestant issue. Even Billy Graham was saying it was a Catholic issue. And political operatives said, we can weaponize this issue. We can get Christians to vote en masse. It is a complete political manipulation from the start. And frankly, guys, I just keep trying to say the Bible doesn't back it up. At very least, I think, sorry, my dog is joining the conversation now.
Hi, doggy.
I think Jesus said, you can be absolutely pure in your stance on murder, but if you call your brother a fool, you're guilty and deserve hellfire. And so I think Jesus would say to us today, you're 100%, even if you're 100% right on your abortion stance, if you're calling people baby killer, your heart has murder in it, and you're no more pure than that person. So I think the conversation is much bigger. And yes, to say yes, Jeremy, amen. We should care about more than conception to cutting the umbilical cord. We have more responsibility for people than that.
Well, and to your point, talking about weaponizing pieces, I think that the right has weaponized abortion. And here's the thing: they don't want a solution. Career politicians on the right don't want a solution on abortion because it will take away one of their pillars on the stump speech. It will. Yep. I have also talked to, the radio station that I work for. We've had the opportunity to work with the National Immigration Forum and go to Washington, D.C. for the National Immigration Forum for several years. And, that's kind of been the conversation about some of, not all, some of the folks on the left as well, that they don't want to actually legislate a solution for immigration because that would take a pillar away from the stump speech. And if you come to a solution, then you're missing a big piece of what you can fight for or whatever. So it's kind of this thing of, it's a stalemate politically because I need talking points. And as long as we don't have legislation on abortion, I have talking points. And on the left, as long as we don't have legislation on immigration reform, I have talking points. And that's the biggest thing that's broken in our culture right now. And I'm afraid that the church has allowed that to happen, because instead of standing up and speaking directly and going, we should open our borders to the immigrant, to the sojourner, because this place is a place of freedom and it's a place of making your family better. And, we should come alongside people and empower people. We should be about making the lives of people of color better. We should be about Black lives. We should be about those things. The church has sat idly by. They've sat on their hands and they've allowed all this negativity to happen. And we're guilty. We're guilty.
Yeah.
With
I'm so done with politics.
After April's guy Mitt Romney lost. Sorry, April.
To be fair, Mitt Romney still got some class.
He's turned out to be pretty good, hasn't he?
I was going to say that earlier. Can we talk about how much different the country is? In 2008, I cast a vote for John McCain, just in full transparency.
I did as well.
I do not listen. And while I love Obama and think he was a good president, he's a good family man, he was good for our country. I believe he woke up every day and asked himself this question: what is the best thing I can do for America today? Now, does that mean I always agreed with it? No. Does that mean I always disagreed with it? No. However, I don't feel bad about my vote for John McCain because I believe he was a good man. I believe Mitt Romney is a good man. How much has our country changed? That we always, it felt like, had two decent choices of a guy that I thought would wake up, no matter who won the election, a guy that would wake up, look himself in the mirror and go, how can I serve my country best today? Mm-hmm. I feel like in my lifetime that's always been true. Until
the postmortem of the Republican Party after 2012 was we have to change. And one of the solutions was, let's take on immigration. If we can fix immigration, if we can have a guest worker program, if we can take care of the illegal, that's not the word, undocumented, that's the word now in the country. And so remember, Marco Rubio was right in the middle of that. And by the way, Reagan and the first George Bush were huge on the idea of a guest worker program and amnesty for those that were already in the country.
Yes.
And so the Republicans said, if we do this, we can swing a huge block of Hispanic and Latina voters in our country. And that was the idea for just a very short time. But then it swung the other way, didn't it? And guys like Marco Rubio got killed in the 2016 primary because they tried to fix the immigration system. And so now it's become so polarized. You're absolutely right. I'm not sure anybody really wants to fix it.
I've often...
Well, sorry.
Go ahead, April.
I was just going to say the Republicans in general, they have their own split going on between Trumpers and then I'll say people with integrity. That's too big of a dig.
Fair. No, that's fair. That's 100% accurate.
Yeah, no, it's just been very eye-opening. And I think the more that I realize it and peel back the layers, the more I'm realizing so much of what I used to believe and what so many people believe now is really rooted in an ingrained racism and white supremacy, going back to the beginning of when this country was formed. I was even just thinking about the Pledge of Allegiance today and how weird it is that we pledge allegiance to a country. I don't know. As Christians, should we be pledging allegiance to anything, really? Yeah. It's just weird. But I remember growing up and you read your Bible, you said the Lord's Prayer, and you did the Pledge of Allegiance, and they just went hand in hand. And just, having crosses next to American flags in our churches, just the intertwined patriotism with Christianity is something that I used to be cool with, and I didn't think anything of it. And now it really bothers me. Yeah. And even now, I feel even just the American flag, I am proud to be an American. I love my country, but the American flag's been kind of tainted because anytime I saw it over the last 4 years, it was usually right next to a Confederate flag, especially in Tennessee, and a Trump flag. Yeah. And I went to a bunch of Black Lives Matter protests in Cleveland to try to move our Confederate statue. American flag, Blue Lives Matter flag, Confederate flag, Trump flags, just waving in our face while they screamed at us, while we just stood there silent, and we didn't even we weren't trying to destroy it. We just wanted to move the Confederate statue to a museum that was a mile down the road. And yeah, just seeing all the racism firsthand. I think one of the more eye-opening things, we had a local Baptist pastor in Cleveland who came and stood in defense of the Confederate statue and decided to preach a sermon at those of us standing on the Black Lives Matter side. And his whole sermon was centered around the fact, he said, the color of sin is black. And he said that to us. We were holding Black Lives Matter. Yes. And we got it on, it was on video, and it got somewhat viral on Facebook, obviously. And so people started calling him racist. So then he did a Facebook Live video.
Because he is.
Yeah, he did a Facebook Live video where he doubled down, though, and said that it is impossible for him to be racist because he's a Christian, and he has black friends.
That's oh my God. If I have to hear that argument one more time.
And then he said, he will never apologize because, he was just preaching the gospel. And people tried to explain to him, like why the context, like even if he didn't mean it that way, why the context of defending a Confederate statue while speaking to Black Lives Matter people would seem racist. And he still doubled down and was like, no, it wasn't racist. And he said he thought it through and knew it wouldn't be racist. Like it was just,
Wow.
I don't know. I think, and I get a lot of comments too of like, what do we do about these people? Like, how do we break through? And this could maybe be the next episode because we're getting late, but that's been something that I've been praying about and trying to figure out of like, I don't want to be at war with people forever,
No.
But like, and I do know, a lot of these people probably do mean well. And I think a lot of them really believe what they believe. Cause I know I used to when I was wrong. And I don't ever want to be so proud that I can't say I was wrong. Cause I've definitely been wrong. And I'm sure there'll be times even in this podcast that one of us will say something that's wrong and, hopefully we can acknowledge it. But yeah, like how do we reconcile when people just refuse any responsibility, any type of ownership of just the trauma that they've put us through in the last 4 years?
And I've hoped
and
that
earlier.
I've hoped that the message that people like us are sharing would be a mirror at some point. Like you talked about the sojourner, the idea of taking care of the foreigner is so prevalent in the Bible over and over and over again. This is a point I try to make a lot is let's look at what the Bible actually says. It really, I don't think it ever explicitly says it has a command against abortion. Now you can make the case. I'm not saying there's not an argument, but there is no explicit command. But hundreds of times, taking care of the poor, the foreigner, the outcast, the marginalized is in there. And so my encouragement to Christians is like, stop and think about that. Like the Pharisees were sincere. Saul of Tarsus was sincere. He sincerely, Saul of Tarsus had such a passion for God. He was willing to kill people for that passion, but he was sincerely wrong. And could it be that we're sincerely wrong as well? And would we be ever willing to think that maybe when the Bible says take care of the foreigner, it really means it? Like the story of Boaz and Ruth shows that God really cares that the foreigners are taken care of in the land.
Well, I think that's a great point. And I mean, how many times though, and I know this has happened to me quite a bit where people will, you're just a leftist, you're just a socialist, all these kinds of things. And my thing is always, I go back and I look at Jesus and I think, what are things that Jesus said to people? Like, what are his words? A man loses his father and he says, let the dead bury the dead. You come follow me. Or better yet, to the rich young ruler, sell every possession you have, give the money to the poor, and then come follow me. Does my Americanism fit in the gospel? Does my capitalism fit in the gospel? Does my selfishness fit in the gospel? Does my individualism fit in the gospel? I don't see it. What I see is being called to sell out, to give everything I have to the poor, to the broken, to the lost, to the sojourner, to the refugee, to the widow, and to the orphan. Right. And that's why my wife and I've talked a lot about on my platform about adopting 3 kids. That's why we were so passionate about adopting, because you can sit there all day long and you can say, I love Jesus. But what about these kids around you that are going to bed in homes that are dangerous and places that are abusive? Yeah. At what point are you so pro-life that you're willing to put up or shut up right now, to go down to your local state office or whatever and go, I'll take any kid you've got? Because that is the call of Jesus.
That I never knew you passage should make chills run up and down our spine.
Man. Yeah. Yeah. Many will cry, Lord, Lord. Many will cry, Lord, Lord. And I'll just look at him and say, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. It's not just depart from me. It's you worker of iniquity, because I never knew you. That should resonate with us as the American church right now. That should rattle us as the American church right now, because looking, sounding, and being close to the character of Jesus is the most important thing that we can do. And Trumpism and radical conservatism do not match Jesus, period. And that is why we no longer identify as straight evangelical, but maybe evangelical-ish.
Just ish.
Yeah.
The ish is still barely hanging on. But yeah, I think that's what I've had a lot of people ask me, like, well, why do I still have the faith? Because I've been deconstructing a lot. Because obviously conservatism, I will never go back to. It's, at least as it currently stands, I just can't unsee the hypocrisy. And a lot of theology that was wrapped in it, I can't go back to either. So, but the Jesus that you just described is the reason why I haven't left the faith, because he has been the constant through all of the chaos. And there is even times, especially in 2016 and this last year, especially because I got extra hate of being called demonic, antichrist, whatever, because this time I voted for Joe Biden. So people were big mad about that.
Yeah, I don't, people probably don't know how I voted. I don't know.
But yeah, but this time I remember being in my car and like I was just having a really down day, and I try to be, positive and not let the people, the hate get me down. It's harder though when it's people that are in my extended family or people that I know personally.
Yeah.
But I was just having a down day because I still care what they think in some ways, even though I hate it. So I remember sitting in my car and just praying, like, God, am I wrong about Trump? I was like, I really don't think I am. But God, if I'm wrong and you want me to vote for Trump, I will vote for Trump. But you have to make it clear. I will do it. Like, I will humble myself and admit that I'm wrong if I'm wrong. And thankfully, he did not tell me to vote for Trump. And I definitely felt peace voting for Biden. But like,
yeah, you did.
It's insane. Like the mind games, that there's a lot of spiritual manipulation of throwing scripture. And honestly, I'm still unlearning a lot of harmful theology that, even though like I know is wrong, it's still, because it's like a lifetime that I was born into, that I have to like consciously be like, am I reacting this way because I'm actually reacting this way, or is this because of a theology that is actually harmful that I need to like check myself? So anyway.
Well, I love this introspection you guys are walking through here. Did I cut you off, April?
No. I was at a stopping point.
Because so one of the things that's happened with the social media platform for me, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this as well, is your question of why the ish, why even hang in there with it? And that's been a wrestling match with me. I've had my bouts of like, maybe this is all bunk and I should just go atheist humanist and just have really good morals, but the story of the creator of the universe putting on skin and coming to be one of us to prove our value to him, to me is an incredible story. And as long as it doesn't make me exclude others from the love of God and the love of the creator, people love the story. And I have atheists all the time. Every day I get messages from people saying, I'm an atheist, but I love your stuff. Or even better, the I'm an agnostic, but I picked up my Bible for the first time in 10 years because of something. The story is amazing and it's inspirational. And as long as we could start to get over the exclusiveness of it, where we're in and they're out and we're good and they're bad, it's an incredible thing we have to share. So I'm not willing to give that up yet. I'm just not going to do it the way I always lived it earlier in my life.
No, and I don't think you should. I think, to both of your points, I love the fact and I tell people this, and when I was a student pastor, I told them this all the time. Obviously, my role has changed a little in the last several years, but that Scripture is a beautiful 66 book love letter. Depending on which canon you read, but because I know that's a thing too. But that Scripture is a beautiful love letter. That it depicts, to me, it depicts us, because I think true love is a choice. I honestly believe true love is a choice, and so it's a beautiful depiction of God choosing us when He didn't have to. Mm-hmm. Because to go back to where we were in the beginning, when we were talking earlier, God doesn't have to love us. God doesn't need us to be who He is or to be anything, because God is still God. And He doesn't need Jeremy Coleman. He doesn't need Paul. He doesn't need April. But He wants us, and He loves us, and He's good because He loves us. And that's the beauty of what we see in the story of Jesus, that God would put on human flesh, like you said, Paul, and that He would show us how to live and show us how to love each other compassionately and accurately and desperately. And, I tell people on my channel all the time to love God and people passionately with no strings attached, that Jesus taught us how to love with no strings attached. And I think that ultimately at the end of the day is what this is about, is that I want my neighbor, who is anyone, because that's how Jesus defined it, whether they believe like me, whether they look like me, whether they act like me, whether they share a socioeconomic status with me, any of those things. I want them to know that they are unconditionally and passionately loved just the way they are. And I want them to know that there is hope and that there is peace and that there is joy that can be found in life, and that we should be giving that and sharing that and receiving that from one another. And I think at the end of the day, and I would hope that that's what we give to each other.
Amen.
Yeah.
I just feel like that needed an amen at the end.
And I want to tell a lot of the people out there that I'm sorry that I was part of a church that hurt them deeply and told them they weren't enough and that God didn't approve of who they are. And
Same.
I spend a lot of time now just saying, yeah, I was a part of that, and I'm so sorry, and I see the damage now. And I try to tell my evangelical friends, guys, we're really hurting people's lives. So I think that's a big part of the message for me as well. It's just like, sorry, we have hurt you, and we recognize that we did.
And I hope everyone feels welcome to be a part of this group and community, whether you're a Christian, not a Christian, atheist, agnostic, Muslim, like whatever you are, LGBTQ, like you're welcome here, and Jesus loves you and we love you, and we just want to journey together. And it's a process. And it's been so encouraging just meeting so many people online through TikTok, like you guys, but then so many other people who have similar stories of, just walking this new path after being marginalized by the church.
I'm even okay if they don't think Jesus was a real guy and really existed or was really God.
Sure.
I'm ready to walk with anybody.
Whoever.
Yeah.
Listen, here's the thing. I mean, if it's 2021, we have all been through some things in the last year or so. We just need to walk with each other. We need to love each other. We need to bring joy and peace and compassion to each other. I mean, and if we can't do that, we're not worth our salt. We're just not. Or what we would say in Oklahoma and Arkansas, you ain't worth a hoot. And, it's sorry.
So country.
It's so Southern, man. I don't even think about having an accent. And then people on TikTok are like, man, where are you from? And I'm like, I don't know, man. NASCAR, race hell, praise Dale.
Well, I grew up in that territory in southwestern Missouri, so I had one of those accents in my life. We even called it in Missouri, right?
Missouri.
Even back in those days.
Missouri.
Well, somebody's asking, like, how often are we going to do this?
Oh, good question.
And so that is a good question. So are we doing this every week?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
That's the plan.
Okay.
Wednesdays, the same time.
Yep, same time, same crazy time, same crazy channel. You can watch us on YouTube until TikTok decides to get their life together and have an option where people can stream together versus just going straight off your phone. So we're gonna be right here on YouTube. You can follow us at Evangelical-ish. On TikTok, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube at Evangelical-ish as well, or just search Evangelical-ish. And then if you want to email us, we would love to hear from you. And so email us evangelicalish@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. This is going to turn into a podcast. So for those of you who are podcasters and, you may not be able to catch it every week, but you want to throw it in the car on your commute to work or whatever, that will be an option coming down the road very, very soon. So lots of good stuff coming down the pike. But yes, every single Wednesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific, because
7 Mountain. Don't forget Mountain.
7 Mountain. We seriously need to find a Mountain Time person just so we can have all
just so
4.
we can be a different, yeah.
I mean, nonsense. That is nonsense.
And if anybody joined partway through this, YouTube does save the lives. Unlike TikTok, YouTube will save it so you can go back and watch the live later after it processes it a bit later.
Well, and
also people can DM us through the Evangelical-ish page too if they don't remember the email address.
So the Evangelical-ish page is the DMs are open, so you can always message us there. And then I know for me personally, at Jeremy C Radio, you can DM me. My DMs are open. You guys go ahead and tell folks where they can find you on TikTok.
Sure, mine's at April A Joy, but my middle name's Ajoy, so it's actually said April Ajoy. So fun fact. On TikTok.
I was today years old when I learned that.
I know you both call me April A Joy, but April Ajoy.
You never told us.
I didn't want to be weird. It's like
not
one of those
weird,
made
it's
up
your
middle
name.
names. I know.
That's amazing.
I didn't know. So your middle name is Ajoy.
Yep, Ajoy.
A joy.
A joy.
Yep.
Well,
A
you
joy.
are a joy, April. So there you
You
go.
are a joy. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And I'm at Old Pastor Paul, which the name I adopted because I figured I was going to be one of the older people on TikTok, and not doing dances like 15-year-old girls on there. So yeah, I'm at Old Pastor Paul.
No,
Maybe you'll lose your shadow ban if you start doing those dances.
No silhouette challenge for you, Paul.
No, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
Oh my God.
I keep looking for some dance I can do somewhere along the way, but
I started doing some of the people like producers will put out their beats and say, hey, rap or whatever. And in another life, I was in a part of a hip hop group. We'll discuss that at some other point.
Ooh,
I'm
I'm excited.
Yeah, but so I decided to break that out the other day, and people were like, what?
I saw it. It was really good. I was impressed.
I appreciate that. So anyway, yeah, so maybe Paul, who knows? I mean, your thing may be some of these TikTok dances, dude.
Who knows? We'll find it. I did a Love My Neighbor from the movie Prom, or the musical Prom. So maybe I'll just sing, and I'll do my Mac the Knife karaoke. I can rip that out.
I'm 99% sure your husband just commented on the live saying she was saving the big reveal of her middle name for tonight.
The big reveal.
Yeah, that came from the Beach Squad. So
That would definitely be my husband. Hello.
he retracted the message. Got it before you could take it off, buddy.
Oh,
Oh, that's funny.
well, where are we talking
Oh,
about that?
that is hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, we've had a good crew come in here. Amber and Ms. Jen HM is going to set an alarm on her phone so she doesn't miss our live stream in the future.
Well,
Yay.
super grateful for everybody who tuned in. I know I speak for all of us when I say that, and we're just we're grateful for our communities on TikTok for allowing us to meet digitally. Like we have never shared the same air. I mean, much less in a pandemic, but we have never we've never been in the same room together. But it's really interesting and fascinating. I think, at least for me. To create really awesome friendships to where I wanted to collab with people from across the country that I've never actually set kneecap to kneecap with, which is really awesome. And so I'm grateful for our TikTok communities for giving us this opportunity, and we're grateful to you guys. And I know I speak for all of us when I say this content is yours because we love you.
Yes. For that. Looking forward to
I think it'd be great
many conversations.
Yeah. I love for people to say, hey, what about this? What about this? And we'll chew on it and figure it out together.
Awesome.
It's an honor to be with you guys. So thank you for including me in the group. I'm excited, even though I am shadow banned by TikTok right now. But if that's the most stressful thing in my life, I guess
he's sad.
Yes, please. I'm desperate.
Yeah. By the way, Paul is definitely sorry. I know we're past time, but Paul is like, I didn't believe the conspiracy theory of shadow banned, and now I'm like, oh, Paul's for sure shadow banned. Y'all need to go watch his stuff. You need to share it to everybody you can share it to. And TikTok.
Free Paul.
Free Paul. Oh, that's a hashtag. Free Pastor Paul. Free Pastor Paul. Listen.
And I got to talk to Rev Carla today, by the way, who's one of my, I was a fanboy getting to talk to Rev Carla. She's one of my favorite TikTokers, but she told me, yes, you are shadow banned. It is a fact. And because she's been through it before. So yeah, I think maybe a group of people got together and maybe did a group complaint bomb on me or something. We were kind of figuring out. So
I got tagged in a video like that the other day, and I don't want to, I love all my followers, and I don't want to be that guy. Hashtag free Pastor Paul. That definitely just dropped that. Yeah. No, that was Ahmad Saddam who said that for sure.
Free
as
Pastor
well.
Paul.
Yeah. So there's several of those. I feel like we all need to make videos. Hashtag free Pastor Paul. But There was this. Wait, what were we talking? Oh my gosh, it just like left my brain.
Talking about the guys that may have group complained about me to get me
so I got tagged in this video the other day, and I don't want to be. I love all my followers. I don't want to be that guy. I got tagged by one of my followers, and it was a video of somebody who is similar to us in philosophy as well as the. Political wise, who was like, let's all create, and this guy had created a Discord channel where everybody could get in there and be like, we don't like this conservative thing. And everybody would go back to TikTok and report that thing. And I was like, I mean, I see what you're trying to do. And while I agree, some of this radical right needs to go away into a grave forever, and we just need to, not even a marked grave, like just let it die. Let it die. But like, I thought about that and I thought, but you know what's going to happen? It's just going to go back the other way. And
I'm sure they are already doing that.
Oh, sure. And here's the thing. I'm not a fan of that. And the reason I'm not a fan of that is because, like, at what point does that, like it's not going to solve anything. You're just silencing. You are then allowing the other side to silence voices that you like. Right. And that's kind of a scary thing. So I don't know. Such a weird thing.
And I don't think it's very Christ-like. So how about that?
Yeah, Paul's bitter.
Wait, yeah. Paul's like, I'm not reporting anyone because I'm tired of being reported. I will
Well,
say.
I did tell a guy to take his Bible and shove it the other day. So maybe
Yeah,
I brought
yeah,
something
you
on
did. Yeah, you did. I told somebody on a video yesterday, I was like, all right, listen here, Scooter, since you were born on third, thinking you hit a triple. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, when Jesus was doing that, strain a gnat, swallow a camel thing, he was poking people in the eye with that stuff. So
Jesus was kind of savage
he was.
when it came to the
super savage.
religious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we need to talk about next time. That's a good topic for next episode.
I like
Savage Jesus. That's the title.
Love it.
That's the title. Yeah, it's just I guess at the end of the day, I think that that we just need to appreciate the voices that we appreciate and stop listening to the things that we don't. And that's where we need to be. So
Yes, but always be willing to learn and don't allow yourself
Yeah.
to be in the conservative echo chamber.
Amen.
yeah, because then you'll be wrong. And sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. We should probably end because now we're all getting delirious and
Yes, we
this
are.
is live. So
It is.
Who
indeed.
knows what'll come out of our mouths?
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Much love to you and to your families. We are grateful for you, and we're grateful for our TikTok community. And so if you get a chance, go follow at Old Pastor Paul. Go follow at April Ajoy.
Ajoy.
Go follow at Jeremy C. Radio on TikTok. And, of course, go follow at Evangelical-ish. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. We will be live every single Wednesday night, 9 Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, 8 and 7 in the Central and the Mountain Time. So we'll be here. This is going to be podcast, and so you'll be able to get it on every major podcasting platform starting probably in the next couple of weeks. And so for April, for Paul, I'm Jeremy, and we are grateful to you. We love you. Love God, love people passionately, no strings attached. We will see you next week.